Hi everybody, Mike Reese here for another martial arts chat. I have a question that came in off of one of my other videos, and it was versus the traditional training versus MMA. And there's going to be, I'm going to be doing other videos about certain types of training and things like that. And this is going to be one of them, and since someone asked, I'm going to go ahead and just attack this topic. Travis Jefferson asked me, he wrote down, he said, what are my thoughts on self-taught training or training regimens, I guess. Basically like what Freddy's Modern Kung Fu says, the guy from that said, like how his training went. And since I really don't watch a lot of Freddy's Modern Kung Fu, mainly because there's a lot of ways. I've watched a few of his videos before, and he's very close-minded on some topics, and just kind of he kind of shows that he doesn't know a whole lot about what he thinks he knows. And I don't know about his training or anything like that. I don't know about how good he is with certain things, but that's not the concern. How he presents himself on his videos is, you gotta love him or hate him or whatever, and he's just he prefers to insult more, and I don't know if that's just a gimmick to get people to start showing him, or if that's just his personal point of view, which that probably is. But because he shares that point of view with other folks too out there, so it's not like it's unheard of, like his opinion is being unheard of. It's just an opinion. But as far as his training, I went and checked out at least that video, so I knew exactly what Travis was kind of referencing. And yeah, that training's perfectly okay. The reason why I say it's okay is because he still had instructors. He still went out, he had instructors that showed him how to do things. Like they showed him the form, they showed him how to keep a proper posture, his proper footwork, and how all that will intertie. He was shown these things, he was shown proper ways of training. So yeah, so the fact that he branched off and kind of was going with his own expression and going with his own way of doing things, and then probably through the fact that he was also a police officer and then went through different types of training there, supplemented his training through what he's been doing otherwise, and then as well as more than likely the what works when he actually has to deal with it as a police officer. That probably makes him a little more well-rounded than some people might imagine, because of the fact that he has not just training, but he also has now experience. I think some people get under this impression that you absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, need to spend your whole life in one style of martial arts, or you can only learn really good things from things that are already out there. Like if it's not already out there, if it's Krav Maga, if it's Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, if it's Muay Thai or whatever, they like assume automatically that that's the only way to go, and it really is not. Who can tell him how to work his body? He knows his body better than the teacher does. We get under the problem I see with a lot of things and this is going towards the self-defense aspect too. And me and my friend Glenn Hardman, we've exchanged these ideas before, and this is one of the things that that continues to come up. Many schools, they get in this bad habit of go in here, do it like this and this and this, and it's the robots of the students following the instructions of a probably not very knowledgeable teacher, and they're just mimicking and just theorizing that everything they're doing is going to work. It's only a theory though, because they haven't really tested it. They haven't put it to like modern terms. They haven't actually put it to the test. And if you've watched any my combatives video, what I see as makes a good combatives list. They haven't done any of those things. They just say, yeah, this could possibly work. without any real idea of what happens when basically when chaos happens, they have no idea what's going to happen. So, yeah, I do believe the way that Freddie has got his training is absolutely valid. I do believe that. I think too many people like to see the color of the belts on their uniforms a little too often, and they put too much stock into that, in my opinion. I mean, there's people out there that have they have like the big red marks or white marks. It doesn't matter what marks they have around their belt. They have a lot of them, and they can't fight for nothing, or they don't know anything. They probably couldn't teach him anything. So, see, that's why I said right in the forefront. I don't like watch his videos. I actually don't agree with his opinion on some of this stuff. And, you know, it's not like he and I are friends or anything like that. I mean, we're in totally different states and all that stuff. I have nothing against him personally, though. He's just another guy on YouTube trying to put videos out, putting out his own opinion and his own philosophy and how he does martial arts. He sees it as right, but doesn't everybody? I mean, even Travis, even if you're watching this, Travis, even you said you prefer Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, and, you know, you have your debates about, you know, Jiu-jitsu, you know, Japanese Jiu-jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-jitsu and things like that. And I understand that. And that's fine. That means you're very loyal to your system and your teacher and your school, and that's cool. And that's cool because there's nothing wrong, because here's my thing, too. There's nothing wrong with Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. There really is nothing wrong with any system. I know a guy that's a Goju-Ryu guy. I know a guy that's an American Kempo guy. He's also a Kyokushin guy. I know guys that are, you know, they do 5 Animal Shaolin Kung Fu. They do, you know, Aikido. They've done, you know, I know guys that have gone through the spectrums of, you know, judo and all that stuff, and they know how to apply them in combat, not just sport. They know how to cut through all the BS that's within the systems and all the stuff that really just is impractical and get into the nitty-gritty of what really works. They understand that process, so it's never really the system that's a problem. Okay, it's not the system that I have an issue with. It's the fact that everybody builds it up to be something that it's always been in the rarest, when in its rawest form, which is jiu-jitsu and judo, which is what he was taught. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. People don't go out and go further into discussions, or they don't go out and actually research where these guys got their ideas and stuff from. Plain and simple, you're accepting what these guys have said and straight up said, oh, okay. And yeah, they've thrown some proof out there. They've thrown some proof on UFC, and, you know, Hoist went out there and did really, really well. And, you know, there's no denying it. And I don't care what anybody says. There's no denying it. He beat a judo guy. He beat some big competitors like Ron Van Cleef. He beat guys that were bigger than him. He choked out Ken Shamrock. But he did get beat horribly because he would not tap out. He would not give up, and I know that's a warrior spirit, but he was willing to die under the hands of Dan Severn, and his dad was willing to let him die as he's getting beaten down. And at the time, it was a bare knuckle thing, and it was horrible. You know, it was not a pretty sight. But let's face facts, okay? He did get beaten, and he's been beaten since. People in the Gracie family have been beaten since. Now, some people say, yeah, but now people learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you're saying the only thing that gave him an edge was the fact that no one knew what they could do. Well, then they made a mistake. You know, so by becoming so popular, okay? So now, so it goes on to the whole thing. So does that training work? Yes, self-taught training works. I'm self-taught. Same way that he was. I just, my path's a little different because I did have an Aikido teacher who was also my Shotokan teacher. I had a American freestyle karate teacher, which taught us several different things. The reason I call it freestyle karate was just so, karate was just to say, well, this is everybody realizes what it is. So everybody kind of knew what they were getting into as a karate class. You had belts, you had, you know, uniforms, stuff like that. But you were being taught sticks. You were being taught different forms from different things. You were being taught different drills. And it's because they were doing no-holds-barred fighting before UFC made it popular in '93. They were doing this back in the '80s. Okay? So they were doing that. And then when I was no longer able to go to these schools or whatever, whether it's finances or because they closed down because of the town I lived in, long story, but I'm not going to tell it. And so I went out and got combat training from people who were veterans in combat and stuff like that, because they were my dads and my friends, or brothers and my friends. And then they would show us things, they would do things. And because I already had formal training, you could give us a video and we knew what they were talking about. We could see where they were going with it. And I'm a very detailed orientated person. I saw a video, I'd watch it, rewind it, watch it again. Watch it, detail it, write it down, and make sure I knew exactly what they were doing from their heads to their toes. I needed to see every ounce of where this person was going and how this person was supposed to end up, where my foot was supposed to be placed, where my body position was supposed to be, my posture in my body at the time. I needed to know all those things because I had formal training to understand that's what you needed to know. If you don't have that mindset, you should never probably do that. But at the same time, I did, and there's other people out there who do that. And then, of course, I fought a lot, and because I fought a lot, I gained a lot of experience saying, ooh, that doesn't work out so hot. Or, ooh, that works out really, really well. I'm going to keep doing that. And it just continues to produce results. Yeah. Eventually to the point where now I've studied and I've talked to people. They give you and you pick up principles and concepts all through your life and add it to the training that you have. Well, because I'm not affiliated with a lot of things, I'm self-taught, man. I don't have a sensei. I don't have a teacher. I don't have anybody. I have mentors that I look to, people that I do respect, that I do listen to. Do I agree with everything that's out there? No, I don't, because it doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit me or my mindset of how I want to do things. So it's all about that. It's about, you know, my experiences in security and corrections, my experience in the street, my experience just in life in general, the things I've seen, things I've researched. It has a lot to do with what we do with it, what we experience with it, what we do with it. I still am learning things. I still go out and say, you know what, that has a lot more merit in it, I believe, than what I initially thought. And being open-minded is what keeps you going, keeps you learning, keeps you evolving yourself and the way you fight. And that's why you always seem unorthodox to people at times when you're self-taught. You come out with something because you learned something and then you've applied it to other techniques that you know. So you do something that works, but it seems off to them because it wasn't something that they were used to seeing, because it's not something that it's really kind of out there. It's kind of your unique thought. You know, and that's only... So yeah, self-taught does work. But like I said, the only way it works, though, is if you have an instructor first. You have to be shown how to do this. There are some people out there that say, yeah, I can wake up and I just know this stuff. It's not really true. There are some people who are going to memorize things very quickly. That does not make them the best for fighting, though. You can memorize something perfectly, and you can get the steps down perfectly. But when everything goes off kilter of what you remember, you end up in a bad situation, because now everything's off. So it comes into that play, okay? So it's good to have these kind of thought patterns. It's good to have this kind of understanding. I think there's too many people out there that want this, though, that say you can't do that, you have to find a good instructor. My opinion here's my advice, though, and I'm going to close it off with this. It's not a very long video for this today, but I'm going to do this one. Find a good instructor first. Stay with that instructor for years, not just like a limited time, for years. I'm not saying 4 years. I'm saying stay with them for years, for several years, and learn the aspects of training. Make sure they're a good instructor. And what does that mean? That means they're going to pay attention to you. They're going to understand that you need help here and there. They're going to help you. They're going to instruct you, and they're going to show you. Okay, that's a good instructor. Someone who just walks around the room is not a good, and it says, good job, good job, good job, everybody's doing a good job, and everybody looks like crap, and even in you, you're going, dude, I'm not doing this good at all. I know I'm not. I mean, I look better than that guy, and that guy looks horrible. And I know I'm doing something wrong because I'm looking in the mirror and I look like crap. Those instructors, they're not very good. So get someone who's going to go, okay, you need to do this, you need to line this up. You need to start picking this up, you need to learn this. I mean, someone that's going to motivate you, push you, and go down the line of what you need to fix. But a lot of times these guys don't know what to fix, so they just say, hey, you're making good job, good job. That's just not how it works, okay? So self-taught can happen, but you need to find a good instructor first to understand how to learn and how to train your body right and correctly. Bruce Lee had instructors, so he knew what it was like to train before he started getting off on his own personal adventures. Before he started going, hey, this is what I needed, this is what I like this. And he paid attention, and the guy would train with it. It's not like Bruce went, I like that. Boxing looks good. Look, I'm a boxer now. He would actually train. He would actually find it, and they'd be like, oh, okay. Well, then he'd go to the gym, and he would actually train boxing with these boxing coaches, and he would actually box. And then he would do that with Kempo. He would do that with Jiu-jitsu and Aikido, and then he'd do that with Muay Thai. He did that with Savate. He went places and actually learned these things. So it's like, whoa, you mean he actually would study these things. He studied how Chuck Norris kicked for 6 months, and then Chuck was blown away by 6 months. He came in and was like, why? Because Bruce Lee was a physical phenomenon. Not everybody can do this. He was genetically already better than most people. So don't think you can be like Bruce Lee. Not everyone in the world can do that, okay? The average individual is going to have to stay under an instructor and learn and build up themselves. Okay? It really is that simple. So, yes, I think self-taught can work. Like I said, you need a good instructor first, though. You need to learn what you're doing first. And then you can go out and start training on different levels, in different ways, with different people. I totally believe that he can do the way that he does it. I totally believe that it's okay because I've done it. I know some of the top martial artists, they're not like, they have like these multiple black belts, but it's because they went from this place, this place, this place. It's not because they sat in the same classroom day in and day out. They eventually started realizing, I need to express myself differently. I wanted to learn more. I want to learn something else. I want to do something else. So, I mean, there is promise to this. There is, and the evidence comes from how well they perform. Can they do what they say they can do? When they can, does it matter where they got taught? If they said they self-taught, but they've had instructors, and they tell you they had instructors, but they just don't give a crap about lineage, then who cares? I don't care what name I goes, you know what, on my uniforms, because I don't wear one. I wear t-shirts and jeans. I wear sweatpants. I wear a hoodie and sweatpants, and I go and work out, and I do my training and all that way. I don't need a freaking gi. Okay? That's an Asian culture thing. I don't need to worry about that. So it's like, if he wants to wear his kung fu outfit, then so be it. That's not specifically said that you can only wear that if you are in martial arts. It's funny, people wear that all the time. It doesn't mean that they're in martial arts. So people got to get away from this dogmatic thought pattern of what these dojos and martial arts schools are teaching. Okay? I've rolled with people that are in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I am not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trained. But I've picked things up from guys who were, because I was training with them. But before I trained with them, I would roll with them, and they were shocked on how long I would last with them. And not only how long, but how many times I could tap them out. And then how many times that they would be able to tap me out, and how many times I could escape from a hold. They were blown away. They were like, how in the world would you learn? I said, well, because I had friends that were wrestlers. I had friends that were jiu-jitsu and judo for years, and I learned, aspects of judo and jiu-jitsu. I was in aikido and aiki jiu-jitsu. So I know how to break holds. I know how to get away from holds. I know how to, I've been doing this for a long time. Of course I know how to do this. Why? Because my training was based off of reality. If I fall and someone starts trying to choke on me, why? Because guess what? Scarf chokes were in judo, they were in jiu-jitsu, and they weren't around just because Brazilian jiu-jitsu said they could. So, but Brazilian jiu-jitsu is not a bad thing. But it's not the only thing. And I rolled with them, and I did well. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not dogging Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I actually like their curriculum. They have some really good stuff. But people need to quit getting under the influence of they're the only good thing. Sambo guys were winning UFC way after that. And now Sambo guys are still becoming a headache for a lot of Jiu-Jitsu guys. And people aren't wanting to see a Jiu-Jitsu match unless it's a full contact, no holds barred Jiu-Jitsu match, which means punches, kicks, hits, stuff like that from Jiu-Jitsu. Ever seen one of those? I have. So it's just, what do you know? Okay, if you only know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you'll probably be alright if you go back and learn, and I pray you do, you'll see all the aspects of Jiu-Jitsu. Not just the stuff that the ground, not the way, just the ground stuff, but all the stuff that it can give you. The striking, the holds, the throws, the sweeps, the tripping, and even the striking. It should have striking in it. If it doesn't have striking in it, then honestly, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just means watered down Jiu-Jitsu. Because older Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, has strikes. Okay? So you gotta see it from a different perspective. Go out and learn a little more, do a little more research on your own. But yeah, self-taught is okay. Need an instructor first though. But you can learn from there. I don't believe you can learn out of the gate. Here's my thing. I do not believe, and even though I got videos on YouTube, I do not believe if you have no training, if you have no idea what you're doing whatsoever, that you can learn from YouTube. I do not believe you can learn from YouTube at all if you have no training. If you have no one giving you direction or correction, you have no way of doing this. Some of the techniques and stuff that I show, I'm planning on revamping my whole channel because I actually don't care for a lot of stuff that I'm doing because it doesn't really show everything that I can do or should do, and what I really want to do it for. And people just aren't going to catch everything. So it's one of those things. So no, I don't believe you can be a YouTube black belt. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. But if you're a martial artist and you're already good at what you do, look at it. But don't look at like Silat and go, I can do that. If you've never done a thing of Silat in your life. You might be able to imitate some of the things they do, like the slap, we got the slap pass drills, you got all the 1, 2, 3s, 1, 2, 3, and then I punch, 1, 2, 3, punch. It's one of those things, guys. You just can't assume that you can perform all the things of Silat. Like I know parts of Silat, and I work well with some of the things of Silat, but I do not know all of Silat. Mainly because it does not work for me. I've seen their ground stuff, and it looks cool. And there's some things that are practical when you're grappling with it. There's some things that work. But there's a lot of things that don't. So it's like, what works for me is what I'm going to take away from it. But I'm also not going to just take snippets and think that I've learned something out of it. I like it. It's entertaining. And there's some good instructional stuff out there. So I will watch what they're doing, and a 10-minute video is going to take me an hour. Just so I can make sure I'm doing this whole thing correctly. So it's like, how are you training this too? How are you looking at this? But like I said, I've had instructors. I already know what I'm looking for. I am an instructor. I know what to teach. I know what I would look for. I know what I want to teach and show people. So that's a long answer for a small question, but at the same time, it was basically a topic that I wanted to address anyway. Can you be self-taught versus this? And yes, you can be self-taught, but I do believe that you need instruction. You do need proper instruction first. So I hope that answers your question, Travis, in its entirety. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that answers questions for some people on here. I don't know if you guys do, but you know what? I told you I'm going to be on here talking about martial arts with the truth in martial arts, okay? The truth is, if you don't have an instructor, you're probably not going to learn much, okay? So you're going to have a lot of basically half-hearted, watered-down junk. So that's just my opinion. So, but there it is. Like I said, we're going to keep doing martial arts chat. Share this, subscribe, and like this. And let's keep on talking about martial arts, and let's continue to be truthful about it. Okay? Later.